Really excited to have you guys join us today for our fourth session of the event for Duda's event focused on giving agencies and web professionals, content to help them scale and grow their business. Today, we have a session with some actual small businesses who have agreed to join us and kind of have a discussion on how things are going in the economy, how they're perceiving the business. We're also joined by Nat and Evan, who work with these guys and are kind of the agency responsible for them. I'm joined today also by Alan Keller here at Duda, who's our Chief Enterprise Sales Officer and works a lot with clients around the world. Alan, you want to quickly introduce yourself, and then we'll hand it over to the team?
Yeah, happy to. Hey, Russ. Great to be here. Welcome, everyone, to DudaCon. As Russ said, my name's Alan. I run enterprise sales and commercial strategy here for the company. Really excited to talk to this amazing roster of agency partners and SMBs that we have today. And what we're going to be talking about is what's going on out there. How are small businesses reacting to the economic climate, the multi-economy, if you will? How are agencies retooling their solutions to provide for what consumers are looking for these days? And I'm excited to chop it up, Russ.
Great. So Paul, why don't we start with you? I think it would be great to give the audience just a little background on what you do day to day, what your business does, a little bit about kind of what you work on and what you do.
Hi everyone, my name is Paul Miller. I'm the Director of Marketing for USM Re-Rents and USM Falcon Lifts. Our business is we rent to rental companies large, heavy construction equipment. When you see a boom that's putting up a new stadium, it's up 185 feet, that's our equipment. It's a very unique market, and it's can be very challenging during a COVID type times, but it's again a very fun, unique business of getting equipment out there that a lot of people just can't afford, but we help rental companies open up new markets with it.
Amazing, Paul. And is that a national business or is it regional?
We are all over Canada and the United States.
Okay, wow, fantastic. And how long have you been there?
Well, I've been with the company for 5 years. It's been in business for 40.
Okay, fantastic. Great. And Jason, how about yourself?
Yeah, so I am one of the co-founders of Count Juncula Junk Removal in Raleigh, North Carolina. We're the world's only Dracula-themed junk removal company. We do residential full-service junk removal and also work for a lot of commercial clients as well, multifamily and property developers and flippers. We started in 2019.
We have to ask, you got to tell us the story behind the name.
Yeah, so my business partner Chad and I were on the way back from a surf trip at the beach, and we had wanted to start a junk removal business for years, and we were kind of kicking names back and forth. And one of us said Junk Dracula, and the other one just said Count Juncula, and we laughed about it for I'd say a solid month before we finally got the guts to go with the name, because we thought it was so ridiculous. We didn't know if we could do it, but once we saw the logo, it all kind of came together, and people have really loved it. So we've incorporated the Dracula stuff into everything we do, really. We even have a Dracula call recording when you call in, a Dracula voice.
It's amazing. And I guess not a lot of competition for that domain name, which is also a bonus.
Yeah, we invented a new word, so pretty much wide open.
Great. How about our agency partners, Russ?
Yeah, absolutely. Evan, I know you work very closely with Jason at Count Juncula. I think it might be interesting just to give a little background on how you guys help them out, and then obviously also maybe just a little background quickly on DevelopMark as well.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Russ. So DevelopMark is a smaller agency. We're under 15 people, and we've been on DudaCon and a couple other programs at John's before. So if you've seen us before, here we are again. And we made Jason's website and took him on as a client probably around 2 years ago, maybe a little bit sooner than that. And we had a great time building his website. I was actually the designer. It's mainly what I do is I'm in Duda all day. So I'm mainly a web designer, and we had a great time building his site because it's not often that people have such fun brands. And I also think that it was a good marketing play of just making Count Chocula because it really makes you stand out from other people when people are in the SERP and they're checking different websites to see who they should go with. So I encourage all of our clients and really any small business to do something like that. Because it's creative and it sets you apart, from the beginning.
Absolutely, that's great. And Nat, do you want to give a quick overview of what you guys do for Paul?
Sure. Olive Street Design, we're based in Chicago. Paul found us 5 years ago. Got involved in a business that was doing rebranding, restructuring the entire business model. We've done logos for him. We've done flyers. We've done billboards. We've done numerous websites. And I picked Paul for this because he's our neediest client. So we've done the most stuff for him. We talk almost every day. And it was kind of fun taking a business that had been around for a long time. They brought Paul on to rejuvenate and renovate the business. And we've been able to do that together. So we've had a blast. But we've done SEO, website design, graphic design, content writing, everything. And it's been great to work with.
That's really cool. And thanks again to all the attendees. Maybe kind of staying on this theme with Nat and Paul for a moment. Nat, you mentioned, we started working together, 4 or 5 years ago. Thinking back, as the rebrand, building a new website, going through this entire process, what were the goals and how do you kind of get started when you find a new client like Paul? How do you think about onboarding? How do you think about designing for goals and intention and building an entire digital program for a business like USM Rents? Talk to us about that process.
Yeah, we took a look at what they had, and it was okay. And they've been a North American based business for a long time, and we had a lot of kickoff meetings with Paul and the design team, and really looking at what they had, where they're going, who they're competing with. And we needed to make sure there were a couple big dogs in the space, and we needed to make sure that content-wise, which was very important, and design-wise, they looked like a 2022, 2023 company instead of 2017. So Paul comes from a marketing background, so he was a lot of fun to work with. And we just kept determining what questions needed to be answered. What do we need to show on the website? Can the website be as easily navigable as possible because they've got a kind of a complex product structure, and just keep going and then stay up to date. We've done SEO programs with him. We've added live chat because I know there's an AI portion of this discussion that was going to happen today. So whatever's going on out there, we wanted to keep him abreast of it. And we do. And we touch base every couple of weeks to make sure that we're keeping him where he needs to be.
That's amazing. Well done. And Paul, to you, thinking, where the digital program was when you inherited the business and joined the company, and where it is today, what percentage of your acquisition and retention does digital represent versus other channels? And not to put Nat on the spot here, but obviously you're very pleased. It's been a long-term relationship with Olive Street Design, but how do you think about moving into the next year, and where do you see your digital program going?
Working with Nat is a very fun adventure. I come to him thinking I've got the greatest ideas in the world, and he tells me how bad they are, and then we do something and it works great. So I have a 30-plus year broadcast background. Actually, I've owned television. My family has owned television stations and groups of stations. I've been through the transition of where you have kind of a website, then you have a website that actually works. And that's what Nat has done for us. And that's what our goal has been. We are a very unique niche business. There's not many people in the world that when they do an acquisition of some equipment, it's $20, $30, $40 million at a time. and to get that word out to our customers. Okay, I'll send an email, I'll have a website that's got it, but you have to have specifications. You've got to give examples of how it's worked. You have to have safety training that goes with it. And that was the biggest challenge to what we walked into, was because the company didn't really have any of that. It just said, hey, here's who we are. This is what we do. There was no way for people to put in a request for the equipment online. Couldn't do an inspection report. We never actually see our equipment. It's always in the hands of our customers. They actually even service our equipment. We buy it, we put it out there. If it needs servicing, the client does it. They rent the equipment. We rent to them. There's not many people in the world that do that. There's probably 3, 4 in the United States. We are the largest. We have the largest fleet. Now, a lot of that has happened because there's been a huge consolidation where the big guys like United Rentals or Sunbelt bought a lot of the retail shops of the construction equipment. So how did that set us apart? We have big pictures of equipment. We don't have anything funny on there. We don't have a talking dog that says, oh, rent from us. It's everything is very direct, very, very, very clean. Again, being able to download the specifications, being able to download an operating procedure, being able to sign up and do an inspection report, it's really, really, really important to do it. It sounds easy to a lot of people. It's not. And I'll tell you the thing that I've been able to really take advantage of was he put together a great analytical program for us, which is something I really believe in. I can see what people are looking at on our site. Of course, everybody says, oh, everybody can do that. Not the way Nat's got it set up. I can go in and make a decision real quick of what we should put out there, talking with the sales team, talking with ownership. Hey, Paul, we've got this going on. What do you think? What do you think we should be putting out there? Well, people are looking right now at 185-foot articulating booms. And by the way, Amazon's got 4 projects going on at $1 billion plus. So get in those territories, find the rental agencies that are there, and get with them. It compliments the Nat because he's always been very patient and has guided the way to make that happen.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Nat. Why don't we pivot over to Jason and Evan, and let's hear some similar responses. Jason, obviously, also a highly competitive market and in junk removal with a lot of entrenched players. Besides the amazing brand and amazing logo, how do you think about differentiation and discovery online with your website and with your acquisition programs?
Yeah, well, we definitely realized the brand was not enough, but it was a huge competitive advantage. So you're kind of in the digital landscape, kind of think of each little element as like a weapon in our arsenal. So, I got with the best pay-per-click provider I'd ever had for our first year in business. And then he eventually referred me to DevelopMark for the website and SEO work. And then we just, kind of built out from there. We kind of hire specialists for different parts of our digital marketing instead of having one company do it all. We've been with some huge firms in the past that did not provide impressive results. And we were with a different company for the first year that we had Count Juncula, and we did not see, measurable SEO results. So we've been very happy with the results we have had currently and continue to have. And, that's what we look at, results-based marketing and tracking what we can, but also understanding that it's kind of a cohesive effect. Everything works together and you can't always just look at one thing in isolation.
Right. Jason, what would you say is... go ahead, Evan. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just expand off that. Jason came on and they had a website. Count Juncula had a website before, but it wasn't, everything that we needed, Jason knew we needed online. So basically, we redesigned it in a way that fit the branding, that was super cohesive with the branding, but also prioritizing just ease of use and navigation. And the main thing was SEO, so to get it to rank. So Jason took advantage of most of our services that we offer here. The SEO, content writing, website design, and even we're going so far as to include previous jobs that they do out in the field. Somebody could take a picture of jobs and upload them right onto the website so people could see previous work that they've done in that past month. So there's a lot of efforts being done on the website and on social too. And so he's taking advantage of most of the services that we offer here, and it seems to be working well. So,
Jason, what I wanted to ask is roughly, what portion of your new leads and new business that come in, is it through digital or through like word of mouth? How are you kind of building and growing your client base on an ongoing basis? What are those channels where they're coming through today?
Yeah, so our main channels are website, Google My Business, Google Ads, and then we still do traditional direct mail to a targeted mailing list.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say at least 50% of new leads come from the website, but everything's not always trackable. They might call the main line. They might have found us on Yelp or some other website. We try to ask how you heard about us. We have tracking numbers in our CallRail account, so we track everything to the degree that we can. But it's a little bit different not being an e-commerce business. It's a little bit harder to track because a lot more of it is kind of a mix of online and offline, and especially with branding, that can definitely be tough because you could touch the customer in so many different ways, and then they just come in through this one channel, and that's how you record that you got them. So, I do a marketing report at the end of every month based off of my tracking analytics, but I do understand that it's not 100% accurate. It just kind of gives me a good kind of baseline of what's working and how well it's working.
Yeah, attribution is always a really tricky one. We struggle with that too at Duda. So it's not a problem unique to your business, Jason. What have you noticed any trends that have changed over the last couple of years where consumer expectations are moving from channel A to channel B, and also are there any other channels that you'd like to experiment with but just haven't gotten around to it yet? So things that you're thinking about.
I've noticed a big shift from email to SMS on the residential side of our business. I noticed that email is very ignored now, except not on the commercial side. It's crazy. So it's almost the opposite. Commercial responds less to text and more to email, and residential responds more to text and less to email. And we've kind of managed the SMS marketing ourselves. We may kind of standardize it more in the future with kind of some drip campaigns instead of just emailing it or texting everyone all at once. But we get good responses from the text, and people will reply to a text weeks after you send it, which always blows my mind. But you put an offer in the text and people hang on to it. So it's been a nice kind of low-hanging fruit and good part of our customer retention and reactivation system.
And what percentage of your business are repeat customers versus new customers?
I don't have the numbers on that. I'm kind of a problem-focused person, so if it's not a problem, I don't always know the answer.
Perfect. All good.
So,
good.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but we do most of our commercial accounts are recurring, so I'd say more than 50% of our business is repeat business.
Cool. And swinging it back to Paul and Nat for a sec. Paul, with such a niche focus and a small group of competitors, so clearly, being the gorilla in the industry pays a lot of dividends, right? With a strong brand and national reach, but you still need to acquire customers. You still need to get the word out that you have equipment available. How do you ensure cost efficiency in that marketing? Are you finding specific technologies more helpful, less helpful? And similar question to Jason, have there been any trends that you can pull out for us over the last couple of years and the way that businesses want to engage with you and maybe any channels you're thinking about experimenting for the future?
Well, again, because we rent to rental companies and we don't work with end users, our marketing is a little bit different. Email has been, our website generates tons of inquiries. Our emails probably send out in our email blast by region, letting everyone know what equipment is available in that region. Close to 10,000 emails a week that go out. We have a very good it's a great tool for us. LinkedIn has also been great. Twitter was a failure. Didn't even mess with Instagram or anything like that. Again, LinkedIn reinforces what we have daily. It's a different piece of equipment. This is what we got. Give us a call. We'll help you out with it. And the reason why we know it works, because quite often when you see projects going on, say in South Carolina, I really start hitting on those projects with big booms or spider lifts and that type of thing. And then here come the inquiries. And you can tell they're all bidding on the same project. So it's a very old school way of doing it. But again, with Nat's analytic program, I can really have a handle on what people are looking for. And even though 4 or 5 folks want the same thing, it becomes a real testament to our ownership of constantly buying these very large pieces of equipment, very expensive pieces of equipment, and having it available. Our biggest pushback is logistics, getting equipment from one place to the other. Because of what's going on in the world, diesel fuel is $5-6 a gallon. You're trying to take a 185-foot boom, 300-400 or 1,000 miles to a job site. All of a sudden, when somebody's getting billed $6,000 to get it there, that changes a lot. But because of our ability to find out where those things are and the contacts we have and that regional email blast, folks know, hey, we can get it. It's probably only going to be about a $1,200 transportation fee, and that makes the sale. But again, I'll say it because of our analytical program, because of the reporting that we have, and just seeing the opens on the emails and then the clicks that happen, we know what we need to get out there. Our ownership has made five acquisitions of equipment just based on what people were asking on. The hard part was being able to get that equipment. There are actually the folks like Sunbelt and United. If we're willing to spend 40, they'll spend 41 to 42 million to get the same piece of equipment. So we've had to wait as much as almost 2 years to get some gear. But we've got we've got a great reputation. Our ownership pays cash. We don't borrow any money. So we get gear and we get it out there right away. The most important thing is making sure your equipment is serviced and working. A lot of folks say, hey, we got all this stuff. We got all this great equipment. But when it comes time to that stuff to show up on that lot, it doesn't work, you're going to lose a customer. I think, Nat, we did that number. I think we've got about a 40 to 45% constant same customers re-renting from us. We're opening up new accounts all the time, and I credit the website for that.
Well done. And just thinking more about this, Paul, you're renting to rental companies, and it sounds like, if I heard your intro correctly, that you're also paying really close attention to large scale corporate development. So, if the Oakland A's ever get around to building a new stadium, which I hope they do, I'm an A's fan. It's tough to be one these days, but I'm proud. You would be firing off campaigns to all the Bay Area rental companies on large scale equipment. So that's fascinating that you're able to hyper target potential acquisition, over the next, 6 to 24 months, right? Those are large scale projects, take a long time. So 2 questions. One, how do you find and how do you stay abreast of those large scale corporate developments, aside from just reading the news like, any one of us can? And 2, how do you hyper target in that way to firing off, those local campaigns to, again, rental companies only in the Bay Area or only in maybe California, because it is such a large project? It's really fascinating acquisition strategy.
You always trust the salespeople. They want to make money. And most everybody in our business is paid. They get a small base, but a great commission. So they're hustling all the time. So when I'll ask our sales group, okay, who have you been in touch with? Who's someone I can reach out to? What have they told you of what you've got going on? And I just start a conversation that way. Hey, Keith said that the new stadium for the Oakland A's is happening. Are you guys in on the bidding? And that just opens up the conversation. That's what they want to get into. You don't have to ask them about their last vacation or anything like that. What gear do you have? Hey, we just got an order for 100 60-foot booms. Can you guys take care of that? Well, okay, yes, we can. And you just got to stay in contact with them. The amazing thing of it is, it doesn't really ever gets personal. It's like, do you have the equipment? Can you get it here? Can you make it happen? But yes, reading, staying abreast, the news. Hey, here's what's going on. There's a lot of different ways to obtain that information. And I think what made us the survivor in the re-rental business, because we did not sell out to all the other retail shops. Our ownership just totally pushed back on that. Great offers for the company too. But he said, no, this is a good thing. We're going to stay in this. Was that as these projects came back, and by the way, the Raider Stadium, the SoFi, the three most recent stadiums on the West Coast, our equipment was there and played a very large part in that. So I'm hoping for the Oakland to get your deal done. But those projects, once they start getting bidded out, there is a chain of folks who will say, did you know this is going on? And they'll let their other folks at the other United Rentals or at the other Sunbelt Rentals know that these projects are coming down. That information circles back really, really, really quick.
Awesome. Russ, what question do we have for our agency partners here?
Yeah, like Evan or Nat, I'll prompt this to both of you guys. What trends do you guys see in the way that consumers want to engage with SMBs? What's changing out there in the market, and what's different from 2 years ago? Right, 2 years ago we were in the middle of a pandemic and everyone was at home, and now things are kind of shifting and opening up. I'd love to hear your guys' perspective.
I'll go first. So if Evan says something I was going to, I won't be out of information. It's been interesting since COVID and people working from home, and we're talking about this before this started together. Don't take this wrong, but COVID's been very good for our business, and we've been very proactive getting to our clients to a couple of things. Is people are used to this Zoom thing now, which I have a lot of them, and I get burned out from it, but businesses are finding it's a new way to communicate. So something we've done with several hundred of our clients is add, online consultations available. And it started with doctors, and then it went to lawyers, and then it went to AC repair people. If you send us a video and, we can do it. Is the virtual consultation, it was huge. And we've added that on hundreds of websites. And the other piece of technology that came through is live chat. And we're finding, and we've read the studies, and 22% of people that visit a website only want to do live chat with you. And we have seen out of the 100 clients so far, and all of ours should add it. It's hard to talk them all into it. The leads that come in are very good. It's inexpensive, and you're going to get more business because of it. So I would say the virtual piece and the live chat piece has been great for clients during COVID, and I think we're not seeing it go away. Evan, what do you got? Go ahead, Bruce.
Let me pull on one thread here, Nat. Do you find that these consumers, that you're obviously saying like live chat is successful for a lot of your customers here? Do you think this is like a change in kind of consumer behavior where they want to engage in a way that's a little less invasive to the consumer, where I don't want to pick up a phone as much, I don't want to go in person, I want to be able to get information faster and have less of a commitment that's there, or is there some other kind of attribute you contribute that to?
That's exactly it. It's that mentality of people, and I would say, the younger people, it's everybody. They want immediate gratification. They want something, they want to know they talked to you, and then they can move on to the next thing. And yeah, it's a point where Although we see we have live chat on our website, out of the live chats we get, 9.5 out of 10, it's a real client that wants to do something, but they don't want to talk to you yet. And so we get the chats, we can respond back to people, and if it sounds good, we follow up with a call. But people are used to this now, and they just it's a preferred way of talking for a lot of people.
Really interesting that, and sorry, Evan, we'll circle back to you in 1 sec. This is a thread I also wanted to pull on. Chat is a fascinating one, and when I think about big investments that we've seen over the last 5 years, even longer time period, particularly in the enterprise, you see, AI, artificial intelligence, ML, machine learning, the rise of chatbots for good or for bad or for evil. I just booked a reservation yesterday through the Google Assistant at a restaurant here. It was fascinating. I clicked on the time I want. Google takes care of it. When you think about chat, now, to what extent do you see chatbots and artificial intelligence playing a role for small and medium-sized businesses? Is it possible for a chatbot to become an expert in Paul's business or Jason's business or my business? Or do you see that a human on the other end of your customer actually needs to be involved to engage with that consumer?
No, it's an AI powered bot that our clients use, and they use it to get an email and a phone number, and then usually a tidbit of information. So when Paul or Jason, if they have chat, respond back, they can respond back with an answer, not knowing anything. So I think in 2 to 3 years, most websites, or a lot of websites, are going to have chat. I position it to my clients right now as if you have chat and that 22% is accurate, and that's from Google, you're going to get ahead of your competitors, and do it quickly and do it now before all your competitors catch on. But to really answer that, Alan, all it is it's funneling to somebody, to a Paul and a Jason quicker, so they can get back to somebody right away. And from what we've seen and the clients we've added it to, as well as ourselves, if you can get back to those people quickly, you're going to close the sale, because they might have chatted with one or two other of your competitors.
So you see it as kind of an AI assist as opposed to
An assist.
AI.
Absolutely. It doesn't close.
Thing. Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Really interesting. Yeah, Evan, please chime in here.
Yeah, I just think that's the general theme where everything is going. People are more hesitant to get on the phone, and therefore they'll do more research on the web. So because of that, you have to have a very robust website with a lot of content that they could read. But the website also has to dismiss their objections or their concerns they might have about the service. So unlike the past where people would maybe just get on the phone, they'd find your Google My Business and just get on the phone. I think people are more hesitant to get on the phone now. And so they're either use chat or, even before they use the chat, just look around and do more research on websites. And because people are also less hesitant to get on the phone, you make sure that your website has every possible way for somebody to contact you. People are all comfortable doing their own, everybody's different. Some people might not feel comfortable getting on the phone. So you have to have different mediums that people can contact you through. And also just, give the people the information that they're looking for, because they might not feel comfortable enough to call in to ask, and somebody else's website might be taking care of that and allowing them to contact and not basically be, speaking to anybody in person. So, yeah, I just think we're going to rely more heavily on technology, things like chat. And also you're seeing chat go a step further with video chat. I think Video Ask does a good job where you can have a chat with somebody's, their video, and you can basically choose your adventure or choose your prompt. And I think things like that will do a lot of the selling before they actually end up contacting the business. They'll be so much more further in the sales process due to new technology, and I only think that's going to go further.
I think the Video Ask is really, really incredible. I think Typeform is the company that released that a couple of years ago, and I've seen it implemented a lot of different ways for surveys, for interviews, for basic information gathering. It's really, really fascinating. Good call out, Evan. Jason, Nat had mentioned earlier, video engagement. I can imagine that would be a really useful tool in your industry where you need to know the size of junk hauler that needs to come out, and square footage, and what kind of material is it, and where to dispose of it. Is video a good solution for you, where you can do a FaceTime or something and actually get a little bit of an insight into the job before you come out there?
So we FaceTime with our employees and our estimators pretty frequently, but typically customers just prefer to text us pictures, and that generally works well enough for us. Allows us to give them kind of a ballpark range of what it could cost, and allows us to know if it's something we can or cannot remove. So we find, there's nothing wrong with video, but we find it kind of unnecessary. But, we've had live chat in the past, and I just made a sticky note to look back into live chat after Nat's recommendation, because we've always found that people need someone to talk to immediately, because there's no loyalty. Like, we've had people call us and say, I used one of the major franchise competitors in the past, but I liked your name. So we know that if we don't answer the phone, they're just going to call the next person on the list 9 times out of 10. So, in the past, we'd had an after hours answering service, and then we had a live chat service, and, it may be time for us to bring some of those things back. One thing that's helped our communication immensely recently is using a program called Go High Level to manage all of our customer communications in one unified dashboard. So we can talk on Google My Business, Facebook Messenger, text message, all through one place, and send and receive pictures to customers and from customers through there. And that's made it way easier, because everybody that manages leads also has the app on their phone. So like, I could be at home and get a text from a customer and just reply immediately. And that's really what people have come to expect, is almost instantaneous communication. Like, if we miss a call, heaven forbid, we're going to return it in like 1 to 3 minutes. So that's been a big part of our success, is treating these leads like they're about to expire in a second, because it really is like that.
Got it. This is probably a question directed towards Evan, but it came in a few minutes ago in the chat, and asking. I noticed you guys make use of dynamic pages within content for a lot of the service pages of the Junkilo website, but you also have breadcrumbs. Is that a feature that you guys looked into, or how'd you add that? And I think I'm going to tack on one kind of follow on here with that is, how do you guys as DevelopMark think about fleshing out the content, when you're building websites for your clients, right? I think a lot of things we hear is agencies struggle to get the information from a lot of their small businesses of what are those real services, what are those real things that I can put on a website that I can advertise that will fill in context. And I think Paul has highlighted this a lot, of you really need to have detailed information on your website. So how do you go about building that, and how do you go about really engaging and getting that content?
So first, I'll answer the question about the breadcrumbs because we can knock that out pretty quick. So for those that don't know, Duda released their own breadcrumbs, I think a couple days ago. But basically how we were handling that before is our friends at camel.co, they make awesome widgets. And so that was a camel widget, if anybody's wondering. But we like to include breadcrumbs because it's a web convention that people are used to using. Yep. So on all of our websites, we want to make it feel familiar, or at least, make the parts of the website that everybody's used to. We want those to be there so that people can not think about how they're using the website. We want them to just use it. So to reduce confusion, basically. But basically how we make our content comprehensive, because like we were saying before, the customer does a lot of shopping beforehand now, and they want to really seriously look at things before they contact. We have a super comprehensive onboarding process and content collection process. So we ask in-depth questions about each of the services, and Jason knows a lot about this, but we want to include pricing. We want to know how the service is done, because these are all things that the customer is going to look for, and they need those objections in their head to be dismissed before they feel comfortable enough to fill out the form or the chat or text or basically contact the business. So Yeah, the answer is just a super comprehensive onboarding process, content collection process, and specifically for those dynamic pages that we made, we have a form on the website where people in the field on Jason's team are pulling up a form on their phone, and after they complete a job, they'll take a couple pictures of the job, send it in, some basic bullet points as to what just happened, what they did. So maybe it was a shed removal where they tore down a whole shed and took it out. So they'll take a picture of it before, a picture of it after, and then our team will use that info to make a little write-up so we could just add content onto the website frequently. But it's also authentic and meaningful content. So when people go to the website, they can check out actual jobs they've done and say, hey, this looks similar to what I need to be done, and I know they can do it now.
Yeah, great call out, Evan. I was just going to ask that about user-generated content and reviews and examples. A little bit maybe less relevant for Paul's business, but can you expand on that? I mean, how when you look at website analytics and traffic, what percent of that is being discovered through UGC versus other maybe more structured content that you've intentionally placed on the website?
Yeah, that's good. So the thing about structured content is there's only so much of it I feel like you could write. You can't make 20 pages about the same service because then that's really not helpful content. It's kind of just you're trying to manipulate Google. And Google, this is something that's happened in the past couple of years. They've gotten way smarter. And they even just recently, as like a couple months ago, they put out information about how they're trying to go after those manipulative town pages or how people will make location pages in locations that they aren't actually existing in, and duplicate content. So basically, you could write a page for each of every of your services. That's what you should do. But there comes like a wall where you don't want to create duplicate content and you don't want to be redundant. And so how do you create more content, fresh content on your website? This is something that we came up with that's authentic. It's useful. People, when they go on the website, they'll actually want to see it instead of like a town page where, junk services in and then a different town and you make a bunch of those pages. When people go on there, those types of pages, they know it's not natural. And then Google's also catching on to that. So because of that, we're looking for these other methods to basically create more content on the website and keep the website fresh. And also do more SEO. So in each of these pages that we make, we're mentioning keywords that we're trying to rank for, and we're mentioning towns that we want to do services in, and you have done services in. And so it's authentic, it's real, and that's just a solution we came up with to basically keep the website fresh, but also stay compliant with Google's new rules.
Well done, Evan. And it's not always maybe obvious to all of us that aren't in the industries that we're serving that you can still keep a website like junk removal very fresh, right? And relevant. I was reminded of Service Titan in the professional services category. They had an amazing Instagram where I think I was just trying to find the name of the account, but it's like every Friday they would have people, their customers, post like the funniest jobs or the most disgusting jobs or the most horrendous jobs that they had to do that week. And it became kind of a lore where, their customers were sharing these kind of incredible stories from, of course, using Service Titan and being out in the field. So maybe to lighten it up a bit, Jason, and in that vein, like, what are some of the most outlandish things that you've been asked to remove from someone's property or someone's place of business since you launched the company?
I would say an entire basement full of sex toys.
All right, we went there.
Yeah, I mean, I figure I'd just go all the way there if you're gonna ask for the most, because that's probably the most. But then there's also just a lot of disgusting things. A lot of what we remove is not for worth keeping or reselling or donating. It's just straight up trash. And there's been a lot of eviction cleanouts and a lot of just furniture and trash that are just dragged out to dumpsters, and so lots of gross stuff as well. And we actually do turn some things down, some jobs down as well, and we'll refer them to like a disaster cleanup company, because we have to keep our employees and they have a certain limit, and we can't do absolutely everything. But we do everything we can.
So no like boxes of like 1954 baseball cards, that were found in the attic that somebody got to keep. Like nothing
Yeah,
cool.
we get good. No, we get cool stuff for sure. We get baseball cards, record collections, speakers, bikes, stuff like that. But that comes more from the residential side of the business. So the commercial side, we don't get much cool stuff on that side.
Got it.
And if you want to go check out some stuff that Jason's brought out of people's basements and attics, and well, his team, I should say, you can go to the website and check out in the navigation, the Our Work page. You could see those recent jobs that they've done. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other thing we realized recently is we better make sure we're willing to do that kind of job again if we're going to post it, because someone will call us and be like, "Oh, do you do shed demolition in Lizard Lick, North Carolina?" And we're like, "Oh man, we can travel that far or something." And we're like, "Well, it's on your website." And we're like, "Yeah, we do it." But they also helped us like early on, kind of define services to offer, because we were so new in the industry that we didn't even know some of the main services. So we do a ton of hot tub removals and piano removals, and we didn't necessarily think we needed to offer that service, but it's just a constant need for us, and pretty much every junk removal company has a site on that on their website, because everybody needs it at some point if you have a hot tub or a piano.
Paul, I'll direct your question to you. What's the most difficult aspect, today of running the business, right? Is it getting more leads, getting more customers? Is it managing a team? What's the most difficult thing that you deal with on a day-to-day basis?
The most difficult thing for us is the service of the equipment and getting equipment from point A to point B. That is something that's almost always, of course, out of our control. You'll sometimes have a company that's not quite on the up and up, and they'll borrow a part off of our equipment to fix their equipment, and then have us order equipment to fix ours. Doesn't happen all that often, but it always seems to happen when you really need that piece of equipment. And the other thing is, because of it's a trucking logistics shortage, getting equipment from point A to point B is a constant struggle. So we're always in contact with tons of different logistics companies saying, we've got this coming up. Excuse me. Can you help us out? Would you like to be on a first call basis? That type of thing. And we get a lot of interest through the website. Again, hey, we're really good here on the East Coast. We can get your stuff there. Here's our pricing. Here's this. Here's that. That's been great for us to reach out on that. Our problem, I kind of want to go back to the chat thing. I was Matt and I had this conversation, and he was really pushing the chat. But when it comes to our business, if somebody says, "Hey, in the chat, you said you were going to rent me this a JLG 1200," I don't really have anything to back that up. You can have a transcript, you can have this, you can have that, but an email tends to carry a lot more weight, or even just that phone call of someone making that order. I really would like to. You can order with us online, yes, but I would tell you that with something like chat, which again I'm very interested in, it's hard to solidify a re-rental that way, or that piece of business with that. It can take you to the next point, but it's always going to come back to them checking the specs, making sure that the weight limits are correct, what it's going to cost to get the logistics there. That is a struggle. And again, you might have 4 or 5 companies in Atlanta, Georgia, wanting the exact same piece of equipment or different pieces of equipment. And you've got you've got to make sure that you take care of everybody, and that can be really rough. Do you always take care of this customer? Do you always take care of that customer? You really try to spread it out and make sure that you take care of as many as you can. But that is really the most difficult part.
Yep.
Except when you want brand new equipment and you put an order in for 10 pieces and you actually make a deposit on that, and you get you've already rented them out in advance of receiving them, and then you find out, oh, of those 10 units that you paid for, we're only going to give you 3 because somebody else needs them as well. That is really a major problem in our business, and it doesn't just happen to us, it happens to everybody. The manufacturers are trying to take care of everyone, but often you can find yourself on the short end if you're just, and that's just the way the business is going right now. And again, you're putting out a considerable amount of cash to secure that piece of equipment, and so it's somebody else, and you don't always know who you're kind of competing with to be able to get it. So those are the big things that I feel that we have it. As far as getting customers, our website works great. Our outreach works fantastic. Where our utilization is close to 80%. So that's really not too bad. And we have 440 pieces of equipment. So that utilization works.
I think it's a great point, right? Like not all new web technologies are going to work perfectly for every business that's out there. And for you guys, where it's highly specific and requires deep investment both from you guys and the customer to really get exactly what they need, live chat may not be the best option to kind of push that through, and may not be the most kind of concrete channel to communicate and get that done. Where different businesses like Jason, it may work really well, where it's more of a lead capture and more of, great, let's go and finalize it after the fact. That's there. It's a really making sure that the tools you use fit the business. Yeah.
I think one option, I don't know if this is typical or it was done or not, but having one of your sales reps or one of your internal employees managing the live chat during business hours definitely could be helpful, because we've had live people manage the chat versus chat bots, and it was better than a bot, but they still couldn't answer any real questions the customer had. So if I was managing it, I could answer any question they had, and I could schedule them on the spot. So, and that may be something we may even consider, if we could, funnel it through our Go High Level chat. That would, at least during business hours, probably be pretty helpful to people.
But to your point, Jason, I've wanted to set up a station in our office, and that was nothing more than someone that would handle that. But I mean this without exaggeration. As soon as we try to do something like that, we get pulled in different directions. We have a limited staff because it's very hard to find. It was one of the things, I think, a question that you guys prepped us with was, how do you retain employees? How do you get employees? It's not like when you go to Indeed, you see something that says, oh, you can be a re-rental salesperson. It's not like that. It takes a lot of training. You've got to learn a lot. You've got to understand how the equipment works, how much it weighs, how high it goes, how much it can lift. And when you have that as a live chat, that person could be tied up with the customer for 1 hour, 2 hours sometimes on trying to get everything done. Then all of a sudden, you've got people waiting in a chat line for that amount of time. And I tell you, from my own personal experience and just trying to get my furniture delivered, where I once spent close to literally 2 hours trying to get something done on a chat line, it becomes very frustrating. These folks need to know, do you have the equipment? Can you get it to me? What is my rate? Can I extend that past 6 months? And then bam, it's over and it's done. But I really would like to have the answer person in a chat, because I think it would be extremely beneficial for us. It's just very hard to justify when you can receive an email or an online quote request.
we kind of treat it like a call center role. Like if you're on the phones all day, then you can also chat while in between calls. But you definitely have to be dedicated to that task. You can't be task switching back and forth to live chat, and yeah, it definitely can be super distracting.
I
Great,
just don't want
gentlemen.
to disappoint anybody. I don't want somebody upset because we didn't get to them right away. Our service and parts folks who get things done, I've heard them wait with certain manufacturers again 30, 40 minutes, and everyone's hearing the music in the background, kind of a thing, as they're waiting to be able to put a request in for a part, and that has pulled me back from saying, okay, Nat, let's get this done. It's I know this sounds crazy. Again, I'd really love to have it. I just think that we would be disappointing people because that person or persons would be a little too tied up trying to get things done.
Yeah, really good feedback, both Paul and Jason. Love the tips and tricks and sharing of best practices back and forth here. We have about 4 minutes left in our session, and maybe just to conclude, we could do a quick kind of roundtable, both for our SMB owners and for our agency partners. Looking into 2023, what is one main trend that you're really excited about, or that you want to try in your business to either accelerate growth or improve retention? What's that one thing that you want to make a priority next year? Maybe Evan, we'll start with you.
Yeah, sure. I'll start. One thing that, I wish we could have talked a little bit more on here, but it's fine. That I just see happening in the most recently in the past 2 years is I feel like Google is prioritizing paid media more. And maybe that's just the way Google is, but it makes sense that they would prioritize and make it work better for the way they get paid. One way Google gets paid, one way Google doesn't, SEO and PPC. So I think that paid media is been increasingly more important in the past 2 years. SEO is still obviously important, but Google gets paid through those sources. And you could see that through, LSA, Google Local Service Ads being new in the past couple of years. They're trying to dip into the home advisor and directory market. I just think paid media is going to be increasingly more important. So
Great call out, Evan. Yeah. Nat, how about you?
I think, and it was something yesterday that Andy from Orbit Media touched on yesterday, and it was personalizing websites. And I think it's pictures of who you're dealing with and videos if you can do it. And I think it layers on top. What we're seeing is people want to know who they're dealing with. They want to know, I'm not spending money with Owl Street Design or DevelopMark or, Count Juncula. Who are these guys? And we look at our Duda statistics, and we look at pages that are hit. The bio pages are normally in the top 5. People want to see who they're dealing with, so we want to put a face to it. And Andy brought that up yesterday, which I thought was pretty cool. And then if you can, insert a 30 to 45 second video on there, that's even better. I think that's going to connect people with an SMB a lot better than a lot of these things. The pictures are free. The videos, if you can get it done, and you don't need to spend a lot of money on these. You can shoot them with your phone because they look more real. It's not a big investment, and yet it can result in a lot of leads for them.
Amazing. So the humanization of SMBs, I love it, Nat. Jason and Paul, can we get 30 seconds from each of you on a trend you're excited about?
Yeah, I'll go quick. I want to do more social, more paid social, more retargeting, more like hyper-targeted retargeting. Like I went to Count Juncula of Raleigh's dumpster rental page, and then they get hit with a dumpster rental video the next time they go on Instagram based on that exact page they visited. And really dialing in our analytics and just committing more to content creation and spreading the brand and making funny videos and stuff like that.
Great.
I want to back up what Nat said, that the who we are is constantly in our top 10. When I look every Tuesday morning, he sends me our report, and the who we are is 1, 2, 3, or 4. It's always one of the top things people look at. we've expanded on that. We put pictures on there. We tell how long they've been with the company. And again, it gets looked at a lot.
Great. Thank you so much, Paul, Jason, Evan, Matt. Really appreciate you guys joining us today and being part of this. It was a really insightful session. And thank you also to Alan for jumping in and joining me here too. If you guys want to hang out on the line, we're about to jump into our keynote session here in the next minute. For everyone that's on the live stream, please hang out. We have a kind of a full co-founder keynote that covers updated vision, a lot of details of what Duda is working on into the future. So hang tight, and we'll hand that over here.